Hello, welcome back to Bolton. This is BioEnchanted, and today we'll be going to a fairly interesting, although small level, No Barking Zone, which is a cute name. By small I mean it's only 2 rooms, this stairwell and then the next room. But of course we have a very well hidden upgrade over here. Very well hidden. We're going to have quite a big series of fights going on, but they're going to be broken up in a fairly interesting way. But yeah, these fights come out to be quite tricky because there's a lot of enemies that are all the specialist enemies. So it's often not that easy to deal with. It's also got some very well hidden upgrades as well, as you saw under the stairwell, but also there were others as well. And yeah, the dam does go on for quite a long time. It has quite a lot of levels to it. But after this one, we'll be I think we'll only be like... After this level, I think we only have 2 or 3 levels to go in the dam, maybe 4. So we're kind of closing in on the end of it. It's just this whole area is a very big area with a lot to do. And so it has a lot of levels. Don't want to go too far. I think some enemies are also around that corner. I don't want to get them involved quite yet until I've taken out these guys. Just don't want to get too overwhelmed. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. You see one of them already coming around the corner there. Just so many of these fire girls. They're not too bad when you know what to do with them, but there's just so many of them, it gets kind of fatiguing to keep having to fight these guys over and over again. It's like, can you give me a break from these guys? I can fight some Chloes again or something. There's something to kind of get a break from these difficult enemies. But this level does introduce a very cute mechanic that we'll be seeing as the game goes on. I don't know what happened there with the recording. But it didn't seem to cause any desync, so that's fine. Let's hope that never happens again. But as usual, I'm kind of saving my super meter for a later stage of this area. And there's, of course, when I'm speaking of very well hidden health things, these series of barrels also hid one as well. Or power upgrades rather, not health. Let's just top off on the health at least. And then we'll go up the elevator. And the one thing I quite like with this level is how it's separated. But it also does cause a few problems if certain events transpire. I like the elevator music, that's cute. But what I'm speaking of here is, if you fight, yeah, we can actually break through this glass, because this is a very small area, this walkway, to fight on. But if you break through the glass, we open up this massive room to fight in instead. So it basically triples the size of the arena, and I really like that little kind of a semi-secret, because certainly, when you're first playing through the game, you may not know that the glass can be broken. Because you can't break it just by ramming into it with your head. You have to use your special attacks to actually break it, your super stomps or super barks and stuff like that. Otherwise it won't crack because it's strong glass. But this gives us a lot more room to work with, because you can see this walkway is a little bit small for this kind of fight. And there's a lot of enemies in this whole area. And the main reason I like to open this room up is, as well, is if you make a mistake of accidentally knocking an enemy over the railing to the right, where the turbines are, then they'll fall down to the bottom layer of the room, and not die. And if they don't die, they'll be down there. And if they're down there, you can't finish that section of the fight, and the level soft locks, which is a big problem. So yeah, we have to make sure not to knock them down there, because that still exists as part of the level, and we won't be able to get down there at this stage to deal with them, so we'll end up just getting stuck. But all we need to do is open up these turbines, and each one activates another stage of the fight. I quite like that this fight kind of allows you to activate it piece by piece, as opposed to just throwing enemies at you ad nauseum and exhausting you. It allows you to take a bit of a breather before activating the next section of the fight if you feel the need to. Because you control when the next section starts, because it doesn't start until you pull the switch and move the turbine. I also quite like that on the console at the back there, you can see on the computer which turbines are now unprotected. Yes, of course you can destroy the computer. But right now we're fighting over here, so... But I always appreciate that when you can control the flow of a fight. It's always quite nice. So sometimes when enemies are just being thrown at you, it can get kind of exhausting. You can often end up with the feeling of, oh really, another wave? And so this level kind of avoids that by letting you control when the wave comes. Yeah, that was me using the bomb to my own advantage. Because she was dumb enough to come charging after me. That's better, a bit more health back. But this level will also introduce us to something else new, a few new mechanics that we'll be coming up to. As you can see, the computer's already getting quite badly damaged. Those little monitors on the wall. Time for the second phase of this third stage of the fight. I quite like watching them all flipping through the windows. It's a cool visual idea. Instead of just them spawning through like the elevator or whatever. That would be relatively uninteresting if they came from somewhere that obvious. Yeah, this room is pretty much non-functional now. We've destroyed everything in it. Whatever they were doing with this room, they're not doing it anymore. At least not without breaking their budgets, anyway. But yeah, I love that visual though, with like you can see on that guy over there with the bee that the super bark has actually deafened him, and he needs time to recover. That's just a really great, great little cue that for like why the super bark stuns them. It doesn't just knock them over; it actually physically deafens them. way more interesting than the Earthquake just ragdolling them. It's just the Earthquake is more reliable because it hits in all directions, as opposed to in the cone in front of you. Yeah, I'm getting a good mileage out of the Super Vision right now, the Heat Vision, simply because it's the cheapest attack to use. Like, in energy costs, not in it being really overpowered or anything. It's just if you don't have much energy and you can't do the Earthquake, you can always quickly zap someone with a cheeky Heat Vision instead. And take care of this annoying guy. Really hate these guys. Because there's just no way to attack them without stunning them first, unlike everyone else where you can like wait for an opening. These guys you have to make the opening. Kind of the same with the Diskies as well. I always hate that kind of thing. Because it means you have to waste energy to just get an opening, and sometimes if you're too far away from them you'll just waste energy and waste the opening as well. They're kind of frustrating to fight. There we go, that should finish him off. Now it's time for the final phase of this part of the fight. Once we pull this final turbine open. I quite like that it actually gets higher pitched when you have all three of them active as well, because it knows, oh, the dam's in critical condition, this isn't good, this isn't good, this isn't good, help, help, get someone in here now. Does a good job getting across just how doomed this dam is right now, and therefore Calico's plans here, pretty much. Let's just get a lot more energy though while I'm waiting for the enemies to catch back up with me over there. These things are always quite nice to be able to use tactically. I quite like that they're there, because it makes things a lot less frustrating when you run out of energy. So it's nice to have the option to run to one of those if you can get the enemies to the other side of the room, and just quickly, like, because you can often just kind of use the super speed to just dash over there real quick with what little energy you have to put some distance between you and the goons. And so you can use it fully to completely heal you and everything. Sometimes it can be quite dangerous to try and do that if there's a lot of long range guys or a lot of Diskies showing up. But in cases like this where it's mostly melee enemies, it can be fine. Although of course you might get pegged by the Fire Girl, because they can attack you from quite far away. So that slide they have. I'm getting kind of lucky that I haven't accidentally bounced one over the railing here and screwed up my entire save. Luckily it's kind of hard to do it here. You have to be in a very specific angle to actually go over the railing. But yeah, even when they have the... Oh yeah, actually with the B open you can actually quickly catch them. Without the B though you can't do anything with them like that. See how I mentioned it would be kind of dull if enemies just spawned in the elevator, because that's kind of what you'd expect. Well, it's time to use the elevator to get back down again now. Didn't see that coming, did you? Yeah, this is a new enemy type. These guys are the Whippy. They can be very nasty. But luckily, because I used my super meter on him, he died very quickly. Like, he was dead before he fell over the railing, so he didn't have to worry about screwing up the entire fight that way. That's what I was saving it for, because the Whippies, especially when they attack later on Force, with multiple ones at a time, they can be a bit of a nightmare because they can block a lot with their whips. And their attacks, they can grapple you with them as well. They have a lot of moves that they can do that will be shown off, of course, when we fight them later on, when there's more than one of them. I just wanted to get him out of the way because this is a very, very, very long fight, and I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to risk dying. There we go, it's time for one of my favourite mechanics now, though. Not only have we got a new version of the ground pound that's now more powerful, which is a lot of fun, because that means enemies will just go flying when we use it, more than used to. But now we can go down here and figure out how we'll destroy these turbines. They seem kind of dangerous. I really like how we'll destroy them. It's adorable and very on brand for Bolt's behaviour in general. And no, it's not throwing henchmen into them. He's not that ridiculous. He's not the bad guy. We only really have, I think, these 3 people to fight now. This is like the last 3 enemies for the whole level. I was focusing all my all my energy on him just to get him out of the way because these guys were annoying. Yeah, something to bear in mind though with Bolt's power sets is when you press the R2 button, he guards, which of course means he goes temporarily invincible. So it's time for a really adorable way of destroying these turbines. Just throw yourself in there! You're stronger than the metal turbines. We're Bolt after all, that won't hurt us. But I do like how it does stun me a little bit. It does pack quite a wallop being eaten up by a turbine. It just so happens that he eats a turbine about as effectively as a turbine eats him, so... I just love that he just completely brute forces it though, just screw it, I'll throw myself in there like Brightburn and just break the fan on me. It's such a wonderful way of solving the problem. It's just a really adorable mechanic.
So much for stealth mode. I think I better find a quieter way in. Stay.
I love that gag with the manhole just knocking the guy out mid-sentence. That's a really funny visual. And it just works so well with the whole kids show aesthetic it's going for. Also, I like Bolt getting really disappointed at being told to stay. It's a very canonizing moment for him, as I mentioned, with humanizing the characters. But I'll see you next time. Goodbye.